What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be your Real Housewives of Dallas review reunion. The first part. I guess they're gonna do a two-part reunion. They probably could have got it all out in this one part. I'll be honest with you. But I guess they're gonna do part two in the next episode. So here's the thing. We hashed out a few things, but ultimately, just like with a lot of these reunion shows, battle lines are drawn. You have basically by the end of the season, you sort of have two camps. So in this situation, we have Leanne, we have Cameron, and then it seems like Carrie was real snippy, real snappy. She didn't have a whole lot to say during the season, but she sure as hell had a lot to say at the damn reunion. But I give her credit; she was equal opportunity because she was giving it to both sides of the couch. She did seem to be a little bit more snappy towards Deandra, but she was giving it to Leanne when it needed to be given. You know, she was equal opportunity. And then on the other side, we had Stephanie, Brandy, and Deandra. And again, Stephanie and Brandy are friends. They're going to always be friends. However, what we found out this season, and they actually talked about it on the show, is that Stephanie sort of came into her own this season. She sort of found her voice. And so we'll dig into that. We start off with them arguing. They start from the beginning of the season, so you know they sort of recapped when they went to Beaver Creek. And the big thing when they went to Beaver Creek were two things. One, that's where Brandy and Deandra really started bonding, and so you started to see Brandy and Deandra bonding. You started to see the line a little bit between Leanne and Deandra a little bit starting to form. The argument that happened when Cameron misunderstood or misheard what Stephanie said about bashing a baby. And now what Stephanie said was, let's not bash Brandy over adopting a baby. What Cameron heard was, why are we bashing the baby? And of course Cameron went off on this whole tangent about bashing a baby. Why would I bash a baby? Why would I say that? Why would you say that? Why would you put those words in my mouth? I never said that. I never said that. So but when they played the tape back, Andy was like, so now that you hear it, are you sorry? And Cameron was like, well, I misunderstood and I'm sorry. She said, but I just didn't understand what the problem was. Why didn't you just tell me you were adopting a baby? Why lie? And Stephanie was like, well, it was a surprise. I didn't want to ruin the surprise. Like, it wasn't a big deal. I lied to you. It lasted for all of 30 minutes. I lied to you about the fact that I was having a surrogate and we were having another baby. Well, I just think that that's disrespectful to surrogates. Why would you say that? Because, there are people out here and that's really serious. Why? And everybody was like, Cameron, just say you fucking misunderstood her and move on. Why are you acting like somebody owed you something? And, Deandra was like, that was a private situation that they didn't want to share. Like, she didn't have to tell who she didn't want to tell about adopting a baby. And they were having this party to tell everyone. And you guessed it. Cool, you guessed it. But they weren't ready for the announcement to be made because they wanted it to be a surprise for everybody. So, yes, Stephanie lied for about 30 minutes. And then it was over. But Cameron acted like Stephanie lied to her and held on to it for like 3 years. Like, dude, it was 30 minutes. Let that shit go. Let it go. Then they talked about the argument that Deandra and Leanne were having in Beaver Creek where they were talking about who was Queen Bee. Well, come to find out they were arguing about who was the most important on the show. And Deandra, according to what Leanne is saying, that Deandra was saying, well, there would be no show without me. And, there would be no, if it weren't for me, there would be no show. And of course they were like, we had a show for a whole season before you came on the show. Like, it worked fine. So supposedly that's what the argument was about. So then they started talking about how Deandra said, well, Leanne, I've been holding on to this secret, so I'm going to go ahead and let it out. You told me before I came on the show that Carrie planned to fat shame me. So, of course, Carrie is going off. She was like, what the hell are you talking about? And that's when Carrie got real forceful. She called her a dumb bitch. Well, you're a dumb bitch for believing it. I would never do something like that. You should know me. You've known me longer than anybody. I've known you for 9 years. You were at my wedding. How dare you? She was going off. Like, Carrie was really pissed off. She was like, she said, well, Deandra said, well, that's what Leanne told me. Leanne said you were planning to fat shame me like you fat shamed your husband. I had never fat shamed my husband. And in true Bravo fashion, y'all know what they did. They flashed back to season 1 where Carrie was talking about when she first met her husband. He was overweight and how she got him to lose weight, and he was a porker. You know, she did make comments about his weight. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say she was fat shaming him, but she definitely made comments about his weight. But Carrie went off. Oh, Carrie was like so offended. And like I said, I mean, called her a dumb bitch. And oh my goodness. She said, well, even if Leanne said it, you were a dumb bitch for believing it. Oh, I was like, wow, that is a bit harsh, Carrie. What else? Let's see. So then we talked about Stephanie. We talked Stephanie, this season I really grew to really love Stephanie this season. I still want her to beat her kids' ass, but that's another conversation. Um she opened up about depression. She opened up about committing suicide, she didn't commit suicide, clearly. Attempting suicide, and her bout with depression. And she said, she's in therapy. She's been doing a lot of work on herself. And she said that she's really, that she really is still a daily struggle, but she's doing a lot better. And she said that, and that's one thing Brandy said. She said, I want to say that I really feel like this season Stephanie found her voice, and I'm very proud of her. I'm proud that, of the person she's becoming and evolving. Andy asked Brandy, what did you know about the suicide attempt? She said, yeah, I knew. I knew about it. And so I just think that was a really, really good, that was probably the most positive thing that happened this season with Stephanie and her growth. Of course, Travis successfully finished the business school at Harvard, and everything went really well with that. And she said that she hoped that would be a way that her and Leanne could connect, because of course, Leanne has dealt with depression and things of that nature. And she even said, at the beginning of the season, she really felt that Leanne was trying, but that over the season, she was provoked and she was pushed. And Brandy did it. Brandy did a lot of that pushing and provoking. And Deandra did as well. For Deandra and Leanne to have been as close as they were, it seemed like their friendship fell apart really easily, really quickly. So I don't know what that friendship was built on. It must not have been built on brick. It was built on straw. I don't know. Because they huffed and puffed and blew that damn thing down really quickly. Let's see. So then Leanne, they went to Leanne, and Leanne was talking about how she really, like I was saying, really this beginning season, she was seeing 2 therapists. She's doing the meditation and everything. And like I said, Leanne did seem to be a lot calmer at the beginning of the season. And as the season went on, there is but so much. I think Leanne made some mistakes, don't get me wrong. But at a certain point, there is but so much you can take. And I think Brandy, just like even with that, Brandy was like, well, tell us the name of your therapist. And Leanne was like, I'm not going to tell you the name of my therapist. She was like, well, what's the problem? I mean, I'll tell you the name of my gynecologist. Like, what's the big deal? And finally, I think it might have been Carrie finally said, she doesn't have to tell you the name of her therapist. Like, nobody has to prove to you that they're going to therapy. And that's just not ethical. Like, why would you say the name of your therapist on national TV? And Brandy's going to say, well, they can edit that out. Leanne was like, yeah, right. Like, come on. Like, what? And so I do think that Brandy just doing too much. Like, okay, you don't like Leanne, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean that every single thing that Leanne does is horrible. Every single thing that Leanne says is a lie. Even though we found out throughout this reunion that Leanne lies about a lot of stuff. We know she lied about cloning the phone. We know she lied about, and one of, they had the Housewives have to keep a blog. So on her blog, she said that she's taped conversations. And Andy asked her, he said, do you tape conversations? She said, yeah, I tape a lot of my conversations. And so everybody was like, that's really uncomfortable. Like, that is so uncomfortable. That is so uncomfortable. And she said, well, I mean, not private conversations, business conversations. But then Andy was like, so you lied. So you don't have a tape of that conversation. It was a specific conversation. She said, no. He said, you do a lot of lying, Leanne. And she was like, well. So Leanne is a liar. And we've seen her on tape lie. I mean, of course, she lied about the whole alcoholic thing. She lied about whether she did or didn't say, alcoholic. And then she started making comments about, so Deandra was like, well, my mother said, and she was like, well, oh, that's what she said. She said she had a audio tape of the conversation she had with Deandra's mother where she never used the word alcoholic. But of course, they have it on tape that you did. And so that was the lie. So she was like, well, I have some problems with Mama D anyway. And so now you got problems with people, Mama? Like, come on, Leanne. Like, again, right is right and wrong is wrong. Leanne is certainly no angel now. Brandy, I think, was doing a lot, and I think she was doing too much. I think she was provoking Leanne a lot of times. But Leanne, you are no angel. You are no angel, in none of this. So then they bring out this text message that supposedly Deandra said about Brandy and about Brandy and about Carrie and their skincare products. Deandra said that's not true. That's a fake text. I never sent that text. Cameron was like, so you calling me a liar? She said, no. And Cameron was like, do you really think I would fake a text? Brandy was like, I don't think you would, but I do think Leanne would. Well, after catching Leanne and all these lies, I don't know. Leanne might have faked a text message from Deandra. Deandra said, look, you can check my phone. It's not in there. So then they tried to say, well, Deandra, you have more than one phone. Deandra's like, I do not have more than one phone. Like, this is my phone. She gave her phone to Andy and said, look, scroll through. See if you can find it. I didn't send that text. And they found the conversation, but on Deandra's phone, the text wasn't there. But on Cameron's phone, there was a text there. Now, clearly people can delete text. We know that can happen. But my thing is, how did you know Cameron was going to bring that text up at the reunion for you to already have it deleted? And maybe you knew, maybe the conversation was had. Like, I don't know. I don't even care. Everybody talks about everybody else, especially in business. You're in a business, you're selling skincare, they're selling skincare. Of course, you want your skincare product to be the top product. So, of course, you're going to make it seem like other people. I mean, it was so catty and so ridiculous. But Deandra was doing a lot, too. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Deandra, and I think that in a lot of this, Deandra, it was unwarranted. But I also think Deandra did her dirt, too. I think the whole thing with her insisting the whole situation with Leanne and Richard was a problem, Rich, whatever. I think that was a mess, because I think at the end of the day, that's your friend, and, either support her or don't. But I just felt like what she did was a bit much. But then the whole alcoholic thing, like, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And then, Deandra said that she really felt like Leanne used her, and that's where their relationship was never really genuine. Stephanie was fair about the whole situation at the end, where Leanne got in Brandy's face. I mean, where Brandy got in Leanne's face, but then Brandy got physical. But Leanne got physical. So Brandy, you were wrong because you did jump in Leanne's face, but then Leanne, you got physical, and that wasn't cool either. And of course, Brandy, being the I'm not gonna back down person that she is, gonna say, yes, I got in her face, and I would do it again. Like, I'm not gonna apologize. Well, you know what, Brandy? At a certain point, you need to apologize. You can be mad at Leanne all you want. You can be pissed off at Leanne all you want. But when you're wrong, and you need to accept and admit when you're wrong. And you were wrong for getting in that woman's face like that. You were wrong for pushing her as hard as you pushed her. Be mad. Don't like her. But you did a lot, And I still think that Brandy went too far with the whole comment that you said that I got with my husband just to save my marriage. And that is never what Leanne said. Leanne was making a comparison. And that's another thing that I wish that they had cleared up, but I don't feel like they cleared it up, because that's not what Leanne said, So at some point, Leanne finally did apologize for using the word drunk and alcoholic when describing Brandy. She said that I don't think Brandy is an alcoholic, but I do think Brandy likes to get drunk. Well, hell, Leanne, y'all just. Anyway, that's pretty much what went down on first episode. I guess next week we're going to tie it all up and end this season. We'll see how it goes down, y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments.